Hello, this is Kinrock here. Let's not bother with an intro, let's get into this.
Saitama, the pointless debate.
Well, that was a great video, everyone. That was fast, it's pointless, therefore there's no reason to talk about it. Let's move on.
In my last bracket video on the most overpowered characters in anime,
Oh, I guess we're still gonna talk about it. Oh well, fair enough. When most people say something's pointless, they generally don't. That's fine, let's do it.
I made two statements that caused an uproar in the comments.
Oh really? And what would they be?
The first being that Saitama is clearly more overpowered within his universe than Goku is relative to the Dragon Ball universe.
Well, actually, that's quite reasonable. I mean, Saitama in his universe is able to take on people with absolute ease, while Goku does have to try, considering. So, yes, the statement would ring true no matter almost. Well, it does leave some question. Like, what do you mean by overpowered and in his universe? I just kind of implied that it could be one's ability to beat people easily, but one could say the more powers you have in your universe is what makes you overpowered. For example, Boo isn't exactly taking everyone in one shot, yet one could say his candy ability makes him more overpowered in his universe than Saitama's ability to punch something. It really all depends on how you look at it. So, true in my standards, but definitely can see why people would be questioning it, yeah.
Which honestly I don't even think is up for debate, and I will definitely elaborate on.
As I just explained, it kind of is up to debate. It all depends on how you would define overpowered, but we'll continue.
But the second claim that I made was that if the two characters actually had to fight, that I honestly have no clue who would win. I said that if I had to choose, I would put my money on Saitama.
Oh no, someone on the internet thinking Saitama would win. Who would have saw that coming?
But overall, I don't think it's a battle that anyone can properly power scale.
Oh buddy, I'm about to prove you wronger than you'll ever know.
As the title of the video suggests, I think it's pointless, but not for the reason that most people give, where they say Saitama is a gag character and thus can't be power scaled. No, it's a real world with real rules and the potential to gain immense power.
Thank you for understanding that. A lot of people surprisingly don't. They just go with the whole he's a gag character, therefore he can't be beat, or his purpose is to one-shot everything, therefore he does. When you're having this conversation, it's best not to fall back on those because those are logical fallacies. I don't remember exactly which ones they were, but they are a logical fallacy. It is a flawed logical state.
And I will explain why I think it's pointless, but before that, let's tackle my original statement. The tournament bracket that I did was on overpowered anime characters relative to their anime's universe.
Really? People are angry with Goku and Alucard's on this list. Alucard's obviously more overpowered in his universe than Saitama is. Have you seen what that man can do? Ugh.
So in the case of Saitama versus Goku, it wasn't a death battle, but rather who is more overpowered within their corresponding world. I'll get to the death battle portion of the video soon, don't worry. And my main points regarding Goku were that he comes from an insanely powerful universe, potentially the most overpowered universe within anime, most relevant characters being able to destroy planets with ease.
Okay, for those of you who are here because I'm on Ivic's channel talking in the comment section and stuff like that, you'll find it weird when I say this is what I would show as downplaying Dragon Ball. Golden Frieza is way beyond planetary. In fact, Vegeta in the Earth arc was planetary. We watched him destroy planets. And he was even going to destroy the Earth. So to say Golden Frieza is massive downplay. I'd say he's at least a galaxy level threat easily. Galaxy level power. So you should have showed Vegeta, not Frieza. We'll keep that in our mind while this video goes on.
However, I personally don't think Goku has been overwhelmingly overpowered throughout the series.
This is what we would call irrelevant. Again, you even pointed out that in their own series, one is more powerful than the other. So you are aware of the concept that just because one is something and another does not make them that and that other. In one verse, you can be something and not be that in another verse. For example, you can take Alucard out of Hellsing and put him in the Dragon Ball, and he'll go from being an S tier character all the way down to a D. So it doesn't matter if he's been overpowered or completely overpowered in his own anime. It doesn't change that if the characters are just that much more powerful in his anime.
As we have seen him die multiple times, when he does win he often comes out with many serious wounds. He even managed to get wrecked by one of Frieza's underlings' shitty little lasers.
Okay, well, it's an outlier. And if you want to say it's not an outlier, I can point out the fact that Saitama has been hurt by a simple house cat. So even at this point, Saitama has a weaker durability feat than Goku has ever shown. I don't think you want to go down that road.
Overall, he isn't invincible by any means, and a lot of his feats are achieved through insane training.
How do you think Saitama got where he is? It was training.
And his dedication to martial arts.
So, I'm going to do a whole video on what happened if Saitama were actually fight Goku, but this is a thing that I talked about even in my Itachi video. Saitama has no training. He has no skills. All he has is the raw power and durability. And that does you nothing in a fight against people who know what they're doing. You could be hundreds of times stronger than them, and if they have the skill to beat you, they will.
While in comparison, Saitama is much more overpowered, again within his universe, compared to what he's fighting against.
Again, this is arguable, but it's not something I'm going to argue against. I agree Saitama in his universe is more powerful than Goku is in his universe. It doesn't affect what would happen if they were to fight each other, but...
Where he actually suffers from a level of depression because he is just so strong that no fight can give him the thrill that he truly desires.
in his universe.
Both Goku and Saitama search for strong opponents. The only difference is Goku manages to find them and has entertaining tough battles, while no one within the One Punch Man universe is even close to Saitama, which caused his depression in the first place.
First episode of One Punch Man. Saitama fights a being who... a virus man? Ooh, okay, that's a serious threat. Second person, we see him fight a mole people who can maybe destroy some buildings. So the most powerful person he fights his first episode is building level. Goku, in the beginning of Z, fights Raditz. How strong is Raditz? Well, he's stronger than Piccolo, and Piccolo can destroy the moon with very little effort. So we're dealing with, what, moon level to small planetary, maybe? Final episode, at least One Punch Man 1, which in my opinion has the strongest opponent, Boros. He has something called the collapsing roar strong cannon. It can destroy small stars. It's a huge jump. Let's look at the end of this Namek saga for Dragon Ball. We have Frieza, who can destroy small stars. And it keeps going with even more powerful characters. One Punch Man doesn't necessarily... we seem to have stumbled upon a problem.
Overall, I think my statement that Saitama is more overpowered is undeniable. Maybe if he faced off against Whis, or even better Zeno, then we could have a debate.
You just jumped right over Beerus, didn't you? The god of destruction, the being so powerful that he stated to be able to easily destroy a universe. That man, okay. You're my favorite so far.
But within their own respective universe, Saitama is more overpowered than Goku. Now on to my second claim regarding if they had to fight. A good old death battle, if you would. And in my opinion, I think it's a pointless debate.
That's been the point of the video, to make that point. We are now at least 4 minutes in, if I remember the timestamp correctly, and you have yet to make that point.
And the reason that I say that is I personally don't think we could power scale Saitama.
Arguably false. I disagree. I don't think we'll get him exactly how powerful as he is, but we can get roughly around there. I'm gonna do so in a minute, hold on.
1. We have not seen him fight an opponent that actually brings him to his limit. Someone similar enough in power that we have an idea as to what Saitama can and cannot do. And personally, I don't think we ever will.
But do we really have to see someone bring Saitama to 90% of his power in order to tell? I mean, we have someone similar in Lord Boros, who's also stated to have maxed out his limit. but he clearly has a limit. So even without his limiter, he is a limited being. This shows that even without the limiter, you still have to push further past to get even stronger. This is what Saitama does. That's why he can mop the floor with Boros. But when I say mop the floor, that's a bit misleading. Saitama himself even said that Boros himself was a tough opponent. Therefore, he did obviously put in at least some work. I generally, if I'm being safe and reasonable, I'd say he put in at least 30% of work, maybe 40. This is a good chunk of Saitama's power, so all we have to do is go up from that. If we say the collapsing war cannon is a star level attack, that would mean Saitama at 100% from that 30 to 40 is at least medium star level. I know that's not concrete, and he could become more powerful than that, but based off the evidence, that would be where he would be, reasonably.
And number 2, he has no limits, or rather he removed his limiter. How can you possibly measure a power that is infinite?
Didn't you just a minute ago, before saying how can you measure a power that is infinite, admit that Saitama is not unlimited? How can you do that within the span of a minute? Not even that.
Let me read you a quote. No matter how much effort one puts in, every living being has an intrinsic limit to its growth. Too much power becomes unbearable and overwhelms its host, turning it into a mindless, rampaging monster. To ensure that we do not enter the realm where we lose all purpose and ability to reason, God has set limits to the growth of every being. The mechanism with which growth is controlled is called the limiter, by Dr. Genius from One Punch Man. He also states that Saitama somehow managed to remove his limiter, gaining power that he cannot even fathom.
As impressive as that sounds on paper, he's not the only one to do it. As I said earlier, Boros also did it. Yet he clearly has a limit. We know this because Saitama showed it.
Even when Boros first meets Saitama, he states that he can sense no limit to his energy. So how can you even begin to scale someone with no limit?
He has a limit, he just has no immediate thing limiting how powerful he can be. Again, Boros is in the same boat as Saitama, he says that. How is it that you can take this statement here and ignore this statement here?
How can you try and compare him to another character if you haven't seen what he could really do?
Okay, I'm going to explain this slowly. I've taken what I know this character can do, I've taken what's reasonable for this character can do, and I've compared them. It's simple.
If you only see someone beat up a bunch of kids or step on literal ants, can you say they are the strongest in existence? No, but you wouldn't be able to prove that someone else is stronger than them either.
Excuse me.
I'm sure I don't need to spell it out for you guys, but what I'm saying is that you can't prove that Saitama is stronger or weaker than Goku because we honestly don't know.
Now I'd love to throw these fucking hands, boys.
But like I said, if I had to place a bet on someone in a death match, I would put it on the guy with no limits versus the guy who has died twice and got pierced by a shitty little laser.
Saitama has limits. I have already pointed this out and proven it. Goku is two deaths or only because he chose to die. And the laser, as bad and embarrassing as it is what we call an outlier. If you don't want to call it an outlier, then Saitama has been hurt by a household cat. You see how when you bring these things to light, they're not as impressive as you think they are.
But hey, that's just me.
Oh, thank God. I could have sworn I was talking to you.
Goku's feats and the magnitude of his power, especially Mastered Ultra Instinct, are nothing to laugh at.
No, nothing to say here. I can't argue against that.
But at least we have some ideas as to where his power lies, and we know he isn't invincible, which is a statement I could not say for Saitama.
So, Saitama has limits. He's not unlimited, but he has infinite power and he's invincible. But you can't say he's not, but you can't say he isn't. My brain hurts now.
Again, I'm not saying Saitama is stronger right now, but rather it's a pointless debate.
You see what I mean? Stop it. You keep tripping over yourself trying to make yourself not get attacked. Just Stick to a lane, please.
Let me address some of the claims that people make and how they try to power scale Saitama to prove that Goku is stronger.
I'm still laughing from that last part. Oh, I can't. Go on, please.
They use this manga panel right here, that he took damage. So he got a few scratches from an insanely powerful blast that he took head on and didn't even try to defend himself against.
You seem to be leaving out the part that wasn't even a star level attack, and we've seen this man get hurt by a cat.
I feel like we need to at least acknowledge that it still barely affected him. Like, he got some scratches. He's not bleeding or anything serious.
It doesn't matter. If it affected him, it affected him in some way, and this attack wasn't even star level. Something that first form Frieza was. How are you real?
Also, it was a fan translation and wasn't in the official print, so it really isn't a legitimate argument.
It doesn't matter if it's fan translated, you already admitted he got affected.
Max, we could say, is that he got some scratches, but likely he wasn't affected at all.
Again, man, with the tripping, you gotta stop tripping over yourself, it hurts.
Sorry for all these stupid little analogies, but you know when you're play fighting against a younger sibling,
All is forgiven. You have given me the greatest gift of all. I'll laugh.
or your little cousin, and you're obviously not serious because you don't want to hurt them because they're so small and so weak, and you're honestly not even taking them seriously and paying full attention, and they somehow manage to get a good hit on you that you kind of feel, but at the end of the day it's still not a big deal. Would you say that your little cousin or sibling is similar in strength to you now?
Yes, to some extent. If somebody is not relative to you at all, they're not really going to be able to hurt you. I mean, 500-pound MMA fighter is not going to be hurt by a 3-year-old. But a 12-year-old getting sucker punched by a 6-year-old and it hurts them, you can see you didn't exactly make the fairest comparison here.
Or that instance can actually be used to scale your strength? Of course not.
Use better analogies, that's my advice.
The same way Goku getting shot through by a tiny little laser beam doesn't make him even remotely close to Sorbet in power.
You have used that point twice in order to help make your argument. You do not get to turn back and say it is useless now.
I wouldn't use Sorbet's power to scale Goku or think that he's even close to him in strength now. All you could really say now is that Goku isn't that durable or invincible when his defenses are down.
The same could be said for Saitama then, next.
So in the same way, Boros giving Saitama a few scratches, not a fatal wound like Goku got, doesn't mean Saitama is even close to Boros' level. He could literally be 1 billion times stronger, we have no clue.
As I pointed out earlier, no, he can't be. Saitama himself literally even stated Boros was tough opponent. This, again, with the way that it was shown and we saw the fight and all that, means Saitama used at least 30 to 40% of his power. That's about a 60 times difference if you want to be generous. If Boros' strongest attack is a small star level attack, 60 from that. At most, if you want to be fair, you want to give Saitama the most, is medium star level.
The next thing that I hear a lot is that he had to use a serious punch to finish Boros off.
It is a reasonable argument. Let's see how you deal with it.
Meaning that Saitama can't be that much stronger. If you remember correctly, he managed to literally disintegrate Boros with consecutive normal punches, meaning that his normal punches would have been enough to defeat an opponent of that level. Like, all that remained was his blood.
That's assuming that Boros' physical body is as strong as his strongest attack, which more than likely it isn't, considering that he's an organic-based life form and show that isn't Dragon Ball. One of the few shows I know in which one's attack potency is the same as their physical durability. It's weird to keep in mind when you're translating between the shows, but it is something to keep in mind.
However, in this case, Boros has some insane levels of regeneration. But all this proves is Boros has amazing regeneration.
I mean, it's great. No, it's amazing. Who am I kidding? There are characters in anime, though, that have more amazing and healing. Majin Buu, Cell, Alucard, weirdly enough. That person who got cheated out of your... We won't touch that. But by this admission, anyone with a really powerful healing factor who's stronger than Boros has a good chance against Saitama. Which, I mean, honestly, I could disagree, but I haven't seen The point is, it's just
Not that he is even close in strength to Saitama in any way. Saitama just used a serious punch because he realized he would have to punch him hard enough that literally nothing remained of his body.
This is false. He didn't use the serious punch to deal with Boros. Mostly because, as you admitted, it was his consecutive punches that were able to deal with him. He used a serious punch because of Boros' collapsing Roar Star Cannon, an attack so powerful that it's stated to be able to destroy a small star, meaning Saitama might have not been able to tank an attack that powerful and or would have destroyed the Earth. So, all that shows is a serious punch can cancel out a star-level attack, but it says nothing about Saitama's durability. That could have seriously hurt him.
But what does serious even mean?
Serious, to put in effort and or to try to do something.
He might have a super serious, a mega serious punch, consecutive serious punches. Serious could be anywhere between a normal punch and infinity.
Oh, okay.
Considering Saitama broke his limiter. You ever have that moment you feel like you're screaming into the abyss, and no matter how hard you scream, it's never going to be heard? Yeah, me as well.
Saitama, who made up the name of his punch, doesn't even know how strong he is. He doesn't know his own limits. Overall, the point of this video is that we can't possibly begin to estimate Saitama's strength, so how can we properly power scale him versus Goku?
I did so earlier.
This is one of my favorite replies that someone tweeted at me. A lot of people tried to make the same argument, but this one is actually decently written and simple. At All Day Anime, Saitama is not stronger than a Goku. Just because Saitama has never lost a battle doesn't mean he's stronger, which is true. Goku has fought universal to multiversal beings, while Saitama has fought a being that was only planet level, meaning that Saitama loses by lack of feats. Again, a ton of people try to use this argument, and while not inherently wrong, especially if you're just doing a fun power scaling video, scaling by feats is fine in most situations and against most characters, but in this case it just doesn't work. And I actually wanted to use this perspective to make it easier to understand my points. Saitama broke his limiter, so we know he is insanely powerful, we just don't know how powerful. And there likely isn't even a limit to his power.
That literally means nothing. Or at least it doesn't mean what you're trying to make it imply. I've already pointed this out. Stop rehashing your old points.
We have no one to compare him to because everyone he defeats is way weaker than him.
You don't have to be an exact equal to be comparable.
Making this entire debate pointless because based off of what we have seen and the information provided, we cannot prove that Saitama is stronger or weaker. So Goku having larger feats doesn't prove that he is actually stronger in any way.
You might as well have just said this guy has done more impressive stuff, but that doesn't mean he's more impressive. He has beaten up more powerful people, but that doesn't mean he's more powerful. He's lifted heavier stuff, but that doesn't make him stronger. He's run faster than him, but that doesn't make him faster. It sounds stupid when you look at it like that, doesn't it?
The thing is, most power scalers look at Goku's accomplishments versus Saitama's accomplishments, or feats. And since Goku's are larger, they conclude that Goku is stronger.
I mean, sounds reasonable to me. What are your counter-arguments to that?
The problem lies with the unknown and potentially infinite potential Saitama has.
Except for the fact that this is the same argument used for Superman. It was also the same one used for Goku at one point. There are many characters who have been given the infinite potential argument, and it means nothing. Don't stop using it, please.
However, before we end the video, I do want to address something that I hear a lot, and have even said myself, which is kinda dumb in retrospect. That if Saitama fought someone of Goku's caliber within the One Punch Man universe, he would win because that's the point of the show, for Saitama's limitless ability to overpower any adversary regardless of the adversary's strength. Which is true to a certain extent. That's kind of the point of the show, for Saitama to defeat powerful opponent one after the other, them just getting more and more powerful, and he just defeats them all with ease every time, getting very little to no credit for his accomplishments. But the reason I think it's dumb is the exact same thing applies to Goku. He may get wounded or even die, but in the end, Goku wins and saves the planet or universe every time. If Saitama were to join the world of Dragon Ball and somehow fought against Goku, it wouldn't be any different. So overall, I don't like that argument very much.
You know what? I'm gonna let the video end there. I mean, it's the end already, but that's something I can at least agree with. I was planning on stopping earlier. I was running out of stuff to say, but something we can agree. It's stupid to say if this character was in this universe, they'd win, and if this character was in this universe, they would win. Because that's kind of not the point of a versus debate. It's supposed to be somewhat of a neutral ground, take the story out of it and all that, and see what would happen. Well, that's it for this video. I got some others to do. This is Kinrock out. Goodbye.